Everybody's seen it, and I'll get to it since AJ didn't want to. I mean, that was fucking beautiful. I mean, the RPO on an island with Jalen Ramsey, one of the best athletes in the NFL, one of the best football players in the NFL. Give him a fake, because he has no idea what's happening. The classic on the run, pump fake, get him in the air. You see pay dirt, make a play. He gets whipped by his own momentum, and then a photo is generated that is iconic and will be used for a long, long time, and I would assume should go up in your house somewhere. Let's talk about that, how you're feeling about the athleticism with a birthday coming up on Thursday, and also against Jalen in specific. You were 7 for 7 against him. Do you know that when they're going into a game, and is that something you think about?
No, I mean, he's a great player. It's not like you have to be wary about certain routes that you throw on his side, because he'll bait you into throwing certain things and sit on routes from time to time, and there is a little bit of a guessing game, but it also depends on the guy who's over there on his side. We had a good plan with trying to get the ball out quickly, and we're going up against two very probable Hall of Famers and a stud and two other studs, Floyd and Ashawn in their 4-man front there. We didn't want to hold on to the ball a whole lot, so we had to do some quick game and some chipping on the edges to get those guys comfortable. And felt like the ball was coming up pretty good on time, and we didn't have any sacks, really. We had a phantom kind of 0 yard, when I got tripped up there. So the line, I thought, played really well, and that was the plan. But on that play, on the touchdown run, that was not the design play, not at all. The play was either hand the ball off or throw it to the left side to Tay in the flat. And the pre-snap was there was 4 over 3 on the left side after the motion. Yes. And so I kind of was off of that already. And as the snap was coming, all I saw was Aaron Donald kind of looking like he was splitting the double team. And for whatever reason, I just pulled it, and the whole right side line collapsed. And just thought, okay, well, now I got to run this one in. And as I moved out, obviously it was me and a far superior athlete on the edge. But in moments like that, you have to use whatever skill set you got. For me, it's kind of my brain and the old pump fake. There was nobody over there. Not that he would have known that. I mean, there could have been a tight end kind of sneaking back out or the back or whatever, but the pump fake was just enough to hold him back there. And the spike wasn't as good as I want it to be. We have kind of a rule on spikes. The ball has to exit the screen, on the film. The ball exited the field and made somebody in the front row pretty happy with a nice souvenir there. So I feel like that kind of made up for the fact that it wasn't one of those great spikes where the ball kind of goes straight up in the air.
How do you grip it? Like this? Is this how you're spike? Because you're trying to land that thing flat, right? That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to land that thing flat as possible, right?
I was trying to have my hand kind of on the meat of the ball, but I just must have missed it because it kind of bounced off to the right.
Terrible spike. Pretty athletic play, though. Go ahead, AJ.
Hey, were you expecting Jalen Ramsey to travel and to cover Devontae, or do they not normally do that? He looked like he was frustrated at times when they're playing zone. All of a sudden, Devontae motions to the other side.
Yeah, he did. He's been playing a lot of nickel, actually, for them. Probably because he's such a great player, and you can maybe at times lose him in games if he's playing outside and the team's just going to ignore that side of the field. So he started playing inside more, and he's a really good blitzer, and he can cover, in inside or outside. But with Devontae, he was doing some traveling, but he wouldn't sometimes travel on motion from one side to the other. And then on the big throw that we hit Devontae on, the 43-yarder on third down, we motioned to tight end outside from backside 2 to frontside 1.
Of course.
And initially, Jalen was lined up on Devontae. Then he bumped out to guard Josiah, and that's when I kind of stepped up in the pocket and hit him down the sidelines. He's a great player, and
Hey, that's why you motion a tight end out to 1, though, right? So then you wasted your best corner on a tight end.
And 1 means furthest outside, right?
Yeah, outside in. Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
So you saw that and you instantly like, okay, Devontae knows, I know, like this is what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae, again, and that was a little bit of an ad lib on his part. I came back and said, how come you ran that route? And he said, I just felt good about the matchup. So if you watch it back, and that's the beauty in the game, because you wouldn't always necessarily know that unless I told you that little anecdote. And I love it too. And it actually kind of messed me up on the last offensive play of the game that we had, because we had a similar play call, and this time he decided to run a slant. And I said, "Why'd you do it on that one?" He goes, "I just felt like I felt like that was the best option." So I tell you, I trust him. So much, and him and I have such a great unspoken chemistry on the field, and we even did a couple other little things in the game that are really cool that we've been working on and practicing off of some of the things that we did. But
how long has he just been choosing his own routes in his head against somebody? Has that been something that obviously doesn't start immediately, but has that been happening for some time?
I mean, he has a lot of freedom, which he should, because he's got such a great release pattern, and he's such a smart guy. It's not like he's going outside maybe of schematic things, but he's making decisions that might not be the expected initial kind of paper football decision, like when you're looking at it on paper, which is why I always say there's like kind of a paper offense and an on-the-field offense. There's like paper routes for Devontae, and then like when he's on the field, do whatever you want. And he did it last week against Minnesota on the second touchdown. He kind of ad-libbed that route, and that's why I was a little bit late getting to it when Everson drilled me. But that's exactly what you want, because he totally froze the guy and scored a touchdown. Same thing on the big play on that third down the other night.
So it's impossible to watch film then, right? Because then you don't really know what's coming. And how do you have to deal with it? You just have to be patient too and see what he's doing, or do you normally have a pretty good sense beforehand? You're on the same page.
I would say normally I have a pretty good sense. You just got to read. You got to read body movements, and then also the conversations that we have are very high level when it comes to those situations. So even before the game, I remember walking over to him and saying, "Hey, in this motion, I'm going to give you this, and then it's going to be this, just for that play." And the guys that I've really gelled with over the years, they expect those conversations. They know that I'm going to walk over at some point, during my preparation for the game, as I'm doing my last looks at the at the plan or at the wristband, and say, "Hey, if this play comes in and this specific situation, and I give you this specific signal, number, look, I want you to run this specific route." And the guys that I've had the best rapport with, I think they probably love those, because they know it might show up, and if it probably shows up, it's probably going to be a good situation. And then the flip side of that is when you got a receiver who can tell you, "Hey, if I get this look or this matchup with this specific play call in this specific scenario, I'm going to do X." I'm like, man, I can't wait. I hope that happens.
Yeah, you just try to remember it, I guess.